Hi. When I started voting, I was confused about the different parties. The Democrats, the Republicans, the whole entire two-party system that we have. I grew up in Minnesota, a traditionally Democratic state, but I didn't understand why that was or even what that meant. So I went to my father for help in this, and he told me that I needed to vote a straight Democrat ticket. I took his advice because at the time I was 18 and didn't know any better, but it didn't feel quite right to me. After that first voting experience, I decided to investigate this party system of politics that we have. After all, just like all of you, I want my vote to count, to do the best with it that I can. So I want to tell you what I found out. I want to talk about our party system of politics, about independent voting, and try to persuade you that independent voting is the way to go. Okay, so our two-party system. When our government was formed, everyone, of course, did not agree on how it should be set up, how it should work, and who should have each power. Our founding fathers split into groups, with each group having a different opinion on how the country should be run. They call these opinions their platform. As time went on, it just so happened that two major factions emerged in the early years of America. However, once this happened, it became difficult for any third faction or any third party to survive. This is because a third group would steal votes from one or the other of the existing parties, thus splitting the votes and dooming both of them. So new groups usually end up merging into one of the two existing factions, and the U.S. ended up with a two-party system. But in America, we still have the option of a third opinion. People who believe differently than the two major parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, can always vote independent. So let's talk a little bit about what independent voting means. An independent voter is one who registers as an unaffiliated voter in the United States. They do not align with either of the two major political parties. They vote for candidates and issues on the basis of their own political belief, which means that they have to investigate each issue and each candidate separately and decide how to vote based on the merits of each. The earliest opinions of independent voters was that they were less interested or knowledgeable about politics, basically that they just didn't care or couldn't be bothered. Later, however, this opinion changed, and the independent voter today is seen as a person who votes on the basis of their own deeply ingrained beliefs, attitudes, and loyalties. Today, according to the Washington Post, 40% of all registered voters are independents. That's the highest figure since Gallup started keeping track half a century ago. That's a larger group than registered Republicans or Democrats, and it's a growing and influential block of voters. So, moving on, let's talk about some myths about independent voters and why I think independent voting is the way to go. Critics say that independent voters aren't really independent, but that they regularly vote with one party. I believe that some independent voters do this. However, more than half are truly independent. Their allegiance swings from election to election based on the issues and the candidates. They are persuadable, not polarized partisans. Critics say that independent voters don't know or care about voting or the issues. I believe that most independent voters are well informed and really do care about the political process. Critics say that independent voters are not organized and don't know what they want when what they really want is a third party. I believe that this is not necessarily true. Some independent voters, myself included, think we need a third or multi-party system in order to achieve a better working political system. But most independent voters, again, myself included, understand and accept that this is a two-party nation. Even though we often vote, and I often do vote for outsider and third-party candidates, it's because we have hope and belief that we can make our system work by voicing our opinions through our votes. I am definitely an independent voter. I believe that this is harder to do because you have to investigate the issues and the candidates before voting. But I also believe that it is worth the extra time and effort in order to cast my vote as wisely as I can. We only have one vote to voice our opinion in elections, and I want mine to count. As Linda Killian, who said in her article, 5 Myths About Independent Voters, the most successful third-party presidential candidacy in the past 100 years was when Teddy Roosevelt ran for a third term as a candidate with the Bull Moose Party in 1912 and won 27% of the vote. Now, this happened in 1912, but it's still remembered today. To me, this shows that whether my independent vote wins an election or not, it does count and will be remembered and taken into consideration. So, independent voting, I do it. How about you? Thank you.